So can you imagine next week? Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I didn't hear what you said. Just tell me what you said.
Oh, no, I said I hadn't messaged you just to confirm, because last week was Tanis Esther, so we didn't have share.
All right.
But I said everyone looks like they're coming on a bit slow today as well.
Right. Yes. Okay. Well, it's that special time of the year where it's after.
And I will message you about that other thing. I also will.
Right. I don't think I can, but you can message me.
Okay.
No, it doesn't look like I can.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so you're going to be here next week?
No, I was here Monday, Sunday. I left here on Tanis Esther, and I arrived in at about 3:30. They got up from Shiva on Sunday, and we made a bris on Tanis Esther for our grandson here.
Right.
So anyway, it was better that I wasn't there during the Shiva. There were like well over 1,000 people every day.
Right.
So I got there for when they got up, and I was there for about 36 hours and came back.
Wow. The parents live here? They live in London?
No, they live in Yad Binyamin. The family live in Yad Binyamin. He's head of World Mizrahi. So they're there.
I guess they have to be. If he's head of World Mizrahi, then I guess he has to be
Rabbi Perez is head of World Mizrahi.
Okay, so I guess he has to be here if he's head of World Mizrahi.
Yeah, he's got a nice. I don't know how nice, but he's got an office next to the great synagogue where Mizrahi is based. The Mizrahi office is next to the great synagogue.
Right on that block, right?
Yeah.
All right, Bezrat Hashem, they should.
Yeah.
Nothing to say anymore.
No, like this morning also, and they said the two people that were wounded in the attack were leftist anarchists. Yeah, going to help.
Right. It's so. You think that people would wake up. You just think that people would wake up.
The whole world.
The whole world is crazy. It's true. The whole world went crazy. And don't think that we have to just not put our hope in anybody. We really have to work on emunah, because one by one, see, the UK also said they're going to stop sending us weapons.
Well, we had there's a lot of boys recently, South African boys who need visas to come to England. And it seems that that the frum boys are not getting, I've never heard of it before, coming for a wedding, coming for this, and they've been refused visas.
They've been refused visas.
They've been refused visas to travel to England.
By whom? By the UK?
By the British consulate, need to give a visa for South Africans to travel to the UK. And they've been refused visas.
So I will tell you that something interesting. I'll tell you that somebody came from, I think either from the UK or South Africa. It was one of those kind of accents. And they came to the Rav, came to the Yunuka, and they asked him, they said to him, they're saying that flights will be problems getting flights out of Eretz Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael. So they asked him, does anybody have to pay attention to that? So he said, really? Flights out and flights in? He was he made like he didn't. Sorry.
Well, I think one of the things that's happened is that South Africa, El Al is no longer flying to South Africa. They had the last flight out last night of El Al. So people have to fly Air Ethiopia or via Europe or wherever they're going to go. And also from here, El Al, the flights are crazy. I mean, I just flew via Austria and back via Frankfurt.
Wow. Anyway, but let me tell you what he said. So he said, because they're predicting a war in the north. That's what the questioner said it like that. And the Rav said, everything is quiet. All I know is you have to study Torah. Everything is quiet. Don't make rash. He said, people make rash. Rash means noise. He said, people make rash. People make all kinds of rumors. Hashem doesn't make them. So, and I'm sure you've all heard that Rav Dov Cook said, he has said that there was a gzeira, a negative gzeira, and he said it was overturned and we don't have to worry. So I think really, I don't think that I'm just going to say my personal opinion, my personal feeling, and that is, I don't feel that there's an existential danger. Lemaisa means in practicality, but I do feel that Hashem is tightening the hug on us, because He really wants us to upgrade. Every person, whatever level they're on, has to upgrade. So I don't think anything bad is going to happen to anyone. I don't think there's going to be a nuclear war, and I don't think that. I think that Hashem just wants to push us to have more emunah, to have more trust in Him, to stop assimilating, to stop copying goyim, stop copying the goyim, stop copying the way they dress, stop copying the way they behave, stop copying the way that they make parties. We have to stop copying them, because we see what they are. They're not worthy of copying. Look what they have descended into. They've descended into really the same level as Hamas. Sorry, I can't talk louder. I don't know what's wrong with my voice. So stop trying to be like them. And you see all the leftists and all of those people they're trying to be like the rest of the world. They're trying to have that mindset of the rest of the world. We have to have a different mindset. Jews have the Torah. We have a Torah mindset. We don't have a Gentile mindset. We have to run away from that kind of a mindset. That's, I think, what Hashem is telling us right now. Because we're all doing chesed. It's true. And we're all upgrading our mitzvot and all of that. It's true. We are. We're being very, very charitable and judicious and kind. It's true. But we're still doing it with a Goyish mindset. What's a Jewish mindset? So I'm going to tell you over a little bit again. I had the privilege of hearing the shir. Someone sent it to me. I wasn't present because I just couldn't keep my eyes open. The shir was given at 3:00 in the morning in Purim. And so the Yanuka said like this. He said this. He said he wants to talk about Emunah. What is Emunah? Now, ladies, I'm not saying that I haven't internalized it at all, so don't think I'm mustering you or telling you something, He said like this: most people think, you look around the world and you think life is supposed to be like the following. You have certain preconceived notions about how life is supposed to be. You're supposed to have a life, you're supposed to have food, you're supposed to have clothes, you're supposed to have shelter, you're supposed to have family, you're supposed to have a job, and you're supposed to have education. All of these things people think are a given. Everyone in the family is supposed to be a certain way. We all think this is how life is supposed to be. And he said, that's not a Jewish mindset. The Jewish mindset is, I'm here, I was created, I'm living to serve God, period. That's it. That's all. There's nothing about life is supposed to be like this, and I'm supposed to have that, and I'm supposed to be. He said, that's not Emunah. Emunah is, I'm here, I was created as a Jew, and as Jewish neshama, and I was created to serve God. And it's a privilege for me to serve God and to bring more godliness into this world. That's my privilege. And that's my life force. And he said, if a person leaves this world without having made a change by bringing more godliness into the world, by bringing more godly awareness into the world. If we leave this world without making a change in the status of God's of godly awareness, then it's a pity. He never says negative words, but it's a pity. So we have to shift our mindset. For example, when we came out of Mitzrayim, we came out of Egypt. Now soon we're celebrating that. I want to put your focus on where are we now in the Bible. So in the Bible, we're in the
Sorry?
in the date of where we are now. We're at the end of Adar.
Right. I can't forward. No, I put them. You need to check there.
Sorry,
Well,
that's
fine.
my fault.
Rebecca's video. It's very clean. It's clean. This was on the bed. I can't go away. And if you then maybe Sarah wanted.
It's a good thing I don't understand British English. It's a good thing I don't understand British English. That way I couldn't hear what she was saying. Anyway, think about it. In about 3 weeks, no, but 3.5 weeks, we're leaving Egypt, right? So what are we doing this day in Egypt? Cast your mind back, 3,333 years. What were they doing? What were we, if we were alive then, what were we doing in Egypt now? So we were in the middle of the plague of darkness, and we had just, scattered around looking in the houses of the Egyptians who had tormented us, much like the Israeli army is now scouting around in the houses of the Hamasnikim in Gaza. And by the way, what are they finding in those houses? The other day they found a menorah that was stolen from a Jewish family. They found a Pesach Seder plate that was stolen from a Jewish family. They found a ball, like a soccer ball, that some Jewish kid had written his name on, and his name, his address, kibbutz be'eri, whatever. They're finding all these things, but okay, that's not what we're doing now. That's not the point. The point is that in Egypt, thousands of years ago, we were getting ready to leave, and we were listening to Hashem. Hashem kept saying, I'm going to tell you what to do now. I want you to go and scout out the Egyptian, their property, and see what you want to take. Because then, after the plague of darkness, and when we're finally leaving Egypt, you're going to be able to say to them, listen, I worked for you for all these years, and you sold me and you hurt me and all of that, and now I want that diamond brooch, and I want this thing, whatever, all those things. And the Egyptians willingly gave it to us, because after all, they were finally admitting that they had been torturing us unnecessarily and for no reason for a very long time. So right now we're in the month of Adar. We're just coming out of Purim. We still have Shalach Manas to organize in our houses, and we're still sweeping up and washing and all of that. And yet we're entering into the mode of redemption. And redemption is in the mind. This is what the whole Haggadah is telling us. The whole Haggadah of Pesach is get into a da'at, your mindset. Your mindset has to be the mindset of, I am free just because Hashem wants me to be free so that I can do His will and serve Him. When you have that mindset, then you serve Hashem with whatever you have. So, for example, if Hashem tells you, I'd like you to, let's say, I'd like you to sit now and listen to somebody who has a sad story to tell you. And you're interested in not listening to a sad story, but you're really interested in, cleaning or shopping or learning or taking a nap or whatever. And Hashem says, I know what you're interested in doing, but I'm telling you what I would like you to do. That's called levater. Levater means to give up your own desire and to do what Hashem is placing before you to do. The kids wake up in the middle of the night, you don't feel like getting out of bed, but you're going to do it. Why? Because Hashem is telling you to. Now you say, but I didn't get an email from God. Like Hashem, I don't have, Ruach HaKodesh that Hashem talks to me. You do, because the circumstances of your life are what Hashem wants you to do. I was just cooking for Shabbos right before I got onto the chair. And then I looked at the clock and I said, oh boy, have to get dressed and put on a little makeup and sit with you ladies. So, by the way, I'm in the middle of cooking, and the kitchen is not exactly misudar, and it's not exactly the way I'd like it to be. But Hashem said, Rochel, come on, now it's time for you to go there and talk with the ladies. And so that's how we live our life. What is Hashem asking of me right now? Not what is Hashem asking of her. She's supposed to do this, or he's supposed to do that. No. What's Hashem asking of you? Okay, so that's what we're entering. So now we're entering into the mindset of Pesach. The Gemara says, and we read this yesterday, the Gemara says that there are 3 entrances into Pesach. 3. The first is on Purim. Purim we enter Pesach because Purim is 30 days before Pesach. And just like the Zohar says that Hashem, 30 days before an event is supposed to happen, in Shemayim, in heaven, Hashem is already stamped that event will happen if it's a good event. So 30 days before an event is supposed to happen, Hashem Shemayim stamps it and he creates it. And then it takes 30 days till it manifests. So too we prepare for Pesach 30 days before, which happens to be Purim. The second time we begin to prepare on the next level is 2 weeks before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. On Rosh Chodesh Nisan, when Hashem is telling us the laws of what we're supposed to do, that's Rosh Chodesh Nisan, 2 weeks from now. The preparations get stronger. And then finally, 4 days before, on the 10th of Nisan, our preparations get even stronger. And we're physically cleaning and organizing and shopping. Many of you have done that. We do that earlier, but at least on the 4 days before Pesach, we have to physically get involved in Pesach. And by the way, I want to tell you, this is written more for the men than for the women, but it's for the women also. There's a lot of physical exertion on Pesach. Even if you're going away for Pesach, you still have to pack. You have to decide right? You have to get tickets and pack and schlep. And schlepping, a lot of schlepping involved. And if you're making Pesach, then there's shopping involved and schlepping involved. And if you're at home for Pesach, there's cleaning involved. And even if you have cleaning help, you're involving yourself. And even if you're buying takeout, you still have to climb up and get the blech and get the plots and get the hot water heater. There's physical exertion involved in this holiday, more than in any other holiday. The only physical exertion we have for Shavuos is nothing. We have to take a nap so that we can stay up all night. The physical exertion of Sukkot is a man's job. But the physical exertion, because they have to build the sukkah, they have to buy the arba minim, but the physical exertion for Pesach is a woman's job. And even though men do help, but still it's a woman's job. It's a kitchen job, it's a food job. And Chazal tell us that when you exert yourself physically to the point where you might even schwitz a little bit, you might even be sweating a little bit, you need to take a shower at the end of every day, more or even 2 showers a day because of the physical exertion of getting Pesach ready. Chazal tell us that cancels out any pleasure, any physical exertion that you might have done in a negative way. For example, let's say you went to a concert that wasn't a Jewish music concert, and you had to get tickets, and you had to go there, and you had to whatever. That's called physical exertion, not for holiness. It's not a holy thing to do. So when you physically exert yourself creating Pesach in your house, you're canceling out with teshuvah. If you know this, now you know it, so you'll be able to do this consciously. You're canceling out any physical exertion that you did that was unholy. Let's say, for example, you wanted to go spy on your neighbor. I don't know, just giving an example of whatever comes to mind. So let's say you go out of your house, you take out the garbage, dafka, when you see that your neighbor's coming out, because you want to see what she's wearing here, who she's talking to, whatever. So you're going and you're stepping into the Dalet Amos, into the private domain of your neighbor. That's not nice. That's not kosher. And so it's a physical exertion that you shouldn't have been doing. Whatever physical exertion we've done in the year gets erased by the physical exertion that we do when we're making Pesach. And every person, again, on their level, see, so when a person's older, the person's very much older, they don't make Pesach anymore. They go to their kids, or they go to relatives, or they go to friends, or they go to a hotel, right? Because if you're older, it's very hard to climb up and, do all the things we have to do. So why? And why is that there's less physical exertion? Because that person has already done tshuva. We're talking about people who are spiritually awake. That person has already, begun to live their life in a more meaningful way, and they don't need so much physical exertion to get their, to get their tikkun, or to get their, how do I say, to get cleaner spiritually. Sorry, I'm bumping you up and down. Okay. Now we're lopsided. Okay. Everybody here knows also that we're trying to make inventory. So you have lists before Pesach. So again, if you're making Pesach, you have lists. And you also have lists from last year. Hopefully you can find them. I don't remember where I put my list from last year because I moved. And so now I'm in a new apartment. I know where in my old apartment where that Pesach list was. And now my new apartment, I don't know where it is. So I have to make a new list. But we all have lists, tasks, things to buy, things to remember, etc. So in the list of what we have, let's make another list of what we want to get rid of in Pesach. Because when you burn your chametz on Pesach, on Erev Pesach, you're burning a lot of stuff in your life. So what would you like to burn in your life? A whole long list. Jealousy, sadness, hopelessness, blaming yourself, not understanding your kids, whatever it is. You have a whole long list. Immodesty, jealousy. I said jealousy. Must be I have to do that twice. Whatever it is that you have to get rid of, because we're going to get rid of it. We're going to burn it. We're going to burn the chametz. We're going to burn all the negativity inside of us. You know that I'm sure you've all seen so many of the clips that they're sending out now from Gaza and from the soldiers. We had, here again, as I told you last week, and I keep saying, Baruch Hashem, in Yerushalayim Kodesh, we don't feel anything unusual. We have for a very, very long time. But in the north, it's very, very hard. The people were displaced. They're not home. They're in hotels. They're in all kinds of different, I don't know, people went to live with relatives. And many of their homes were bombed and destroyed. I just keep thinking that it's the most ironic thing in the world, that we learned this already a few times in Tehillim, because this is really a Tehillim class, so you're forgiving me that I'm going on to a Pesach mindset. In Perek Beis in Tehillim, it says that it's all talking about Mashiach. And it says, Yoshev Hashemayim Yitzchak, Hashem is sitting in heaven and he's laughing. And so what's he laughing at? So Chazal say many different things that Hashem is laughing at. One of the things he's laughing at is, how foolish can humanity be? How foolish can humanity be? What does he have to do to wake up humanity to see how silly they are? So we have to wake up before Hashem calls us silly and say, okay, it's only you, Hashem. Life is only you. And we have Olam Haba. We're not afraid of this world. We're not afraid of the next world. That's what we're working on right now. And we're trying to also feel the pain of our friends and speak to them in a language that they understand. So I read today something very interesting about someone who who had a mental illness. Somebody had a mental illness, and he said that he wrote this in one of the Jewish blogs. He wrote that the most frustrating thing for him was that no one understood his language. And even though he was still speaking English, the actual language he was speaking was understandable, but no one understood what he was talking about because he wasn't able to express his feelings. So I'm going to tell you a story that I told you a long time ago about two sisters. when their first baby brother was born. So there was two sisters, and one was about 6, the other one was about 4. And their baby brother, the first baby brother was born, and they were at the bris of the baby brother, and they were exhausted, the kids, because you know how it is when it's exciting. And there was a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, there was a 2-year-old little girl, and there was this new baby. So you can imagine what that mother was going through, and how she was trying to keep it all together. And you know, it was a very big bris because it was a community figure, and so the little 4-year-old girl, she lost it. She just sat down and started crying. She was exhausted and probably overstuffed with sugar because she was just eating whatever she could get her hands on. And nobody was paying attention to her. And even though she was surrounded by grandparents on both sides and aunts and uncles and whatever, but it was the bris. They were doing the bris and nobody was paying attention to her. They knew where she was. They saw that she was safe. She was there, but she was so sad and she was so tired. So I just was watching this. I was at the other side of the ulam. I told you the story then. It was a very, very big shul, and I was at the other side of the, the place, the event hall. And she just sat down on the floor and started to cry. So I was just about to go over to her, and I was going to pick her up. I know the family, so I was going to pick her up and hold her. This was a 4-year-old who was crying, when her 6-year-old sister came over to her and just sat down next to her. I don't know if they were on the floor or they were on a bench. She just sat down next to her. And the little girl, the 4-year-old, was crying and crying and crying. And her sister just sat next to her. She didn't put her arm around her. She just sat next to her and looked at her. That's all. Like, I'm here. That's what she was saying, even though she didn't verbalize it. I'm here. You could cry. I'm just going to sit with you because I don't know why you're crying and I can't really help. But I'll sit with you while you're crying. And so that's called speaking another person's language and understanding their language. Instead of judging, we have to stop judging. We know we have to stop judging. And we have to start saying, I don't understand your language. Instead of trying to convince the other person to speak your language, say, I don't understand your language, and I don't know what you're going through, but I'll sit here with you. And that's why Shiva, Rebbetzin Rochel was saying about how she came here for 36 hours from London to Eretz Yisrael, just to be with a family whose son was declared that had passed, and they had just gotten up from Shiva. Just being there. Okay, now we're going to learn a line. I'm learning now from the Haggadah of the Rebbetzin Rebbe. The Rebbetzin Rebbe we learned over the years, especially in the Parsha class. The Rebbetzin Rebbe was a very, very unusual thinker for his time, to the point where he forbade anyone to learn his books other than his own family members, because he wanted to make sure that no one misunderstood his words. So he wrote Svarim, kept them in the family, and he learned with his sons and grandsons and nephews. He learned with them all to make sure that they understood his words, because he didn't want them to be taken out of context. The Rebbetzin Rebbe says the following in his Haggadah. La'atid, in the future, when Mashiach comes, Hashem Yisparach Ya'ir Oro, when Hashem's light will fill the world, and we'll have understanding, which right now we do not have. We don't have understanding. But when Hashem will give us understanding, Nir'eh Miforash, we will clearly see, Sha'af B'Hachoshech, Gam Ken Kiven Ratzon Hashem Yisparach, that even when we were in darkness, when we were in mistaken thoughts, when our mindset wasn't clear, and when we were doing wrong things, even then, our deepest ratzon, our deepest desire was to fulfill God's will. We just didn't realize that that's what we were doing when we were running after all these things in the world. Let's say now, I said to you before that Hashem is showing us the worthlessness of this world. Worthlessness of this world, because everyone in this world is turning against the Jewish people. People who have no idea what we are and who we are. People they're so silly, these countries that are sending, they're parachuting in food. You know how much food there is in Gaza, except that who takes it? The Hamas. And when these people get these parachuted in food items, they have to hide them because the Hamas will take them. So the world doesn't understand what's happening here. They're just parroting what other people are saying. But so at one point, on one level, we have to stop imitating the rest of the world. Stop trying to be like them. You know that because in the German schools 200 years ago, when they tried to institute what they call the Reform Jewish movement, which really was abandoning Judaism, abandoning Torah Judaism. So they put organs in the shul. They put choirs in the shul. They did all kinds of things to try to imitate the Catholic Church, the Christian Church. And what happened? There's no more, those people, those original German people, the German Jews who assimilated, they're no longer Jewish. There's no record of them. They intermarried to such an extent. Many of you have that in your families, where there's certain elements of the family, certain sections of the family that there's no longer Jewish. I once heard one of the rabbis in one of the schools I taught in, they were talking, I told you this also, they were talking about yichus, their family tree. And in the teacher's room, everybody was bragging. I come from this rabbi, I come from that great rabbi. And one of the rabbis, who's a very great Kibbutz rabbi, he's very famous, but of course I'm not going to tell you who. He said he has a bigger yichus, a much greater genealogy than any of them in the room. So everyone perked up their ears to see, because everyone knew he was a Baal Tshuva. So they said, yeah, really, what's your yichus? What's your family genealogy? And he said, I'm the first Jew in 10 generations that puts on tefillin. I'm the first observant Jew. I don't know if he's at 10 generations or 5 generations. It's 10 generations already, that would have been lost. However many generations, he's not the first one. So even when we're trying, for those who try to copy the Goyim, they got lost. And now, when we are dealing with our chametz, the Rebbe here says you should know that when Hashem opens the light bulb, and we see the whole plan, we're going to see that really we always had the right intentions. We always wanted to do God's will. God's will. The soul of a Jew always wants to fulfill God's will. The soul of a Jew is dedicated and is attached to Hashem, to God, and only wants to do God's will. Except that we got mixed up a little bit. We didn't know what was God's will, or we were drowning in our negativity. When a person is drowning in negativity, their good inclination is weakened. Only in this world, when Hashem's presence is hidden, we don't recognize who we are, our greatness, the greatness of our soul. You know, tzaddikim, they just see souls. They don't see bodies. They don't know what your body looks like, the clothing, they don't know you Ashkenaz, Sfarad, religious, not religious. They see a soul. And that's why tzaddikim could talk to souls. And they could liberate souls from slavery. Tzaddikim can do that, even looking at a tzaddik. Even for you to look at a tzaddik. Go to where the tzaddikim are. Go to hang out by the tzaddikim and just look at them. Look at them physically with your physical eyes. They can remind you who you are and how great you are. And what does that mean, how great you are? It's because you have a desire to come close to goodness. That's how you know how great you are. If you have a desire to improve. I'll tell you something interesting. You know that in the South, here in Eretz Israel in the South, they burned down so many farms and orchards and so there's an organization, I don't know what it's called. There's all kinds of charity organizations now that are springing up. I hope this one's legitimate. I don't know the name of it, but they're planting trees. Remember when we were little kids, we used to plant trees in the J&F forest? You know, all the trees here in the forest were planted. You got a little piece of paper or like an award that, you know, a tree was planted for you in the forest of such and such in honor of or in memory of or whatever. So they're doing it again with trees. They're trying to plant trees. And one of the people who was commenting on this was a non-Jew. And he said he wants to participate in the building up of Israel because it says in the Bible, those who bless the Jews will be blessed, and those who curse the Jews will be cursed. So he wants to be in the world of blessing. That's what Hashem said to Abraham Avinu. And the holiday of Pesach, Meir Hashem Yitbarach L'Adam Sheyuchal Lahakir Mikomo V'Shorasho. On Pesach, a person can find out who they are and what they are. And you can also figure out where you're weakest. And when you figure out where you're weakest and you begin to work on that, it's the source of all the happiness in the world. Because that's what Hashem wants you to do. Hashem gives you a task and he says, do it. Did you ever love somebody really, really a lot? If you really love somebody, then you just want to do for them. You just want to do more and more things for them. You just want to make them happy. I'll even say these words. You just want to serve them. You know, I don't mean servitude in terms of slavery, in terms of, you know, something that's unhealthy. But if you love somebody, it's natural for you to want to give to them. That's really the source of love, is giving. Hashem says when Pesach comes, I want you to clean out, not just the house, but clean out the negativity. Or clean out the dust. So every single year, some rabbi gets up on the podium and says, it's not spring cleaning, and don't do the windows, and don't do the chandeliers. And of course, if you don't do the windows once a year, you're never going to do them. And Pesach is that, you know, is that time. I had a neighbor in my old building, and he would put a sign up on the downstairs in the lobby of the building, you know, because he every year they had a large apartment, it's a large family, and they would get a cleaning team to come and wash the windows. Now I was directly below them. So he would always remind me, just to make sure that if I didn't see that sign, that the cleaning team, the window washers are coming on Tuesday. And I always knew once they come on Tuesday, there's going to be rain at some point after that. Like I'm thinking now, okay, it's almost April and the winter Baruch Hashem is over and it's nice weather here today in Yerushalayim Kodesh and everybody has energy. Because it's sunny and it's not cold. People have energy to get Pesach going on. And whenever this man would say, you know, his family's having the windows washed, I would say, oh, I thought it was winter over, but now I see it every year. So it rains if this guy has his windows done. Anyway, I want to go over with you something that we'll be going over Be'ezrat Hashem, hopefully after Pesach, and that is the 7 Sefirot. The Sefirot HaOmer, 7 Sefirot. The whole Tehillim is filled with mentions of the 7 Sefirot. In fact, the 10 Sefirot. But the 7 Sefirot, which are paralleling the 7 days in the week, I just want to give you a tool to figure out, you know, like if you can't figure out what your strength is, because you use your strength to do teshuvah. So what's your strength? So I'm going to give you a very quick overview right now, because the Rebbe here says, in the Idris Rebbe says that really the root of every Jew is holiness and his desire to come close to Hashem. That's the root of every single Jew. How is the tool for you to recognize what's your power? What's your superpower? It's a new thing now to say, right? I got a Shalach Manas that says, what's your superpower? Or teaching in our school is your superpower. They gave me a mug, something with superpower. So one of my seminaries. So what's your superpower? So I'm going to tell you 7 superpowers. Pick the one that you resonate with and use that. Maybe you have all 7, and certain days of the week or certain situations wake up certain superpowers in you. So here goes. Ready? The superpower of Sunday, which is the first of the Sefirot. It has nothing to do with the day of Sunday, but that's called kindness. Kindness is chesed. So here's how you know if chesed is your superpower. If it bothers you when people are not kind. Some people, they see another person's not kind and they just walk on, they go on, right? If it bothers you when a person is unkind, that to the point where you just can't tolerate it, then maybe your superpower is chesed, kindness. If it bothers you when people are weak and wishy-washy and non-committal, then maybe your superpower is gevurah. Gevurah is power. If it, on the second one, if it bothers you also when you see people who, again, they're not strong enough to do the things that they know they should be doing spiritually. If that bothers you, then maybe your superpower is gevurah. If it bothers you when people are imbalanced, that means one day they're very religious, the next day they're not religious, there's hypocrisy, there's lack of, consistency. If that really bothers you, some people will say like, okay, that's the way they are. But if it really bothers you, then maybe your superpower is Tiferes. Also, if it bothers you, if it hurts you, if you don't learn enough Torah, or if you have an unquenchable thirst for Torah study, most of you then maybe your superpower is Tiferes, because Tiferes is all about learning Torah. If you always have to you always have to win an argument, let's just say. That's a negative aspect of this, but let's say you always have to win an argument. You always have to have the last word. But you always have to think that you have the last word. Or if you're always thinking about the future, even worrying about the future, that's a negative of that. If you're always thinking about, if you're in a holy way thinking about your upcoming meeting with Hashem, whatever that will be, that's called Netzach. And that's the victory, victorious, eternity. That's your superpower, is to think about what's real in this world and not to think about what's fake in this world. Because Netzach, you think about eternity. Or you always have to win, and that's not a good thing. You have to let go of that. But if that's your nature, we all know that. Sometimes we get into those mindsets, or sometimes with certain people. You always have to have the last word with certain people. With certain people, not with everybody, but certain people. And that's a negative aspect of Netzach. But then Netzach is your superpower because it's in your life. It's a topic in your life. Excuse me. Let's say you're very grateful. You're by nature very grateful. You really appreciate what people do for you. And you get annoyed when people are not appreciative of other people. When you see people who are not appreciative, they say, thank you. They just throw it out. But you know that they're not really grateful. In fact, you know that they think that it's coming to them whenever the person did them a favor. Then Hod is your superpower. If your whole life is all about relationships, and you're very conscious of having good relationships and wholly uplifted relationships and not taking advantage one person or the other, then maybe your superpower is your soul. If you're incredibly communicative and you always davening, and davening is a big thing for you, and you're always talking and davening, it's a big thing for you davening, then maybe Malchus is your superpower. And maybe all of the above in different times with different people. But these are the 7, the simplest way of explaining the 7 midos, the 7 spheros, the 7 emotional tools that God has given us to deal with this world. And again, we'll do it more in Sfiras Omer, Bezrat Hashem, because every week we're focusing on another one of these midot. And I always tell people, because I don't know how much time we're going to have before Pesach to be able to learn. So, because the first week of Pesach is the midah of chesed, kindness, pure kindness, because Hashem redeemed us, and of the pure kindness, we really, our Chazal tell us that we didn't really deserve it. Hashem loved us so much that He redeemed us just because He loves us. That's the whole week of Pesach. The week after is the week of Gevurah, power and focus, and it goes like that every week until Shavuos. And so every week you're going to be feeling. Sometimes you might feel that one of the weeks of the Sfiras HaOmer, I'm sorry, one of the weeks of the Sfiras HaOmer might be a very strong week for you, or the opposite might be a failure week. You might be doing everything wrong, everything happens that's not good. Hashem is pointing out to you, that's your week, that's your Sfiras HaOmer, that's your power, at least for this year. They ask the Yanuka always about Mashiach. They always ask him. And he always says, no one knows, only Hashem. And Hashem is the only one who knows exactly when Mashiach is going to come. So they ask him because they think he has Ruach HaKodesh. They think that he knows everything. They ask him. People ask people ask tzaddikim all these questions. And he said, no one knows. So you see, so many things were predicted for Purim. A lot of things were predicted that was supposed to happen on Purim. And all the people who get excited about these things were all waiting and waiting. And nothing manifests. And then they think about Pesach. One of my friends told me that she remembers Pesach of the year of Corona. Everybody was sure, the whole world is turning upside down for sure this year. And nothing happened. And so we like all these predictions. We like that because it gives us hope. But the bottom line is, the tzaddik says only Hashem knows, and it's going to be in a surprising way. We won't be ready for it. We won't be prepared. We're going to be busy with a million different things, and all of a sudden we're going to have a shift in the world. We hope it's soon. We really, really hope it's soon, but we don't know. But we do know that we have Hashem, and we have Hashem's will. What does Hashem want from you? Hashem wants you to be healthy. Hashem wants you to be happy. Hashem wants you to force yourself. If you're not naturally happy and healthy, Hashem wants you to push yourself. That's why you're alive in this world. So people come into this world, the Baal Shem Tov said. So people come to this world just to fix one thing. There's a story that says it. There was a student of the Baal Shem Tov's, and he wanted to come to the Baal Shem Tov for Rosh Hashanah, and he got stuck. The Ukraine and Russia, even in September time, it's winter, it's cold, it could be rainy, it could be snowy, it could be all kinds of things. And this student of the Baal Shem Tov, who was on the way to the Baal Shem Tov for Yontif, for Rosh Hashanah, he got stuck in some town, someplace. He couldn't get his horse and buggy to work or whatever, and he got stuck there. And he actually forced himself. They asked him in the town to stay, because if he's a student of the Baal Shem Tov, clearly he was a great, he was a spiritual force, a spiritual person. And the townspeople wanted to stay with them for Yontif. And he only wanted to go to the Baal Shem Tov. In the end, his desire for his own spiritual overpowered his desire to stay and help these people. And he went to the Baal Shem Tov. He walked there, crawled there. I don't know how he got there. And the Baal Shem HaKadosh after Yontif said to him, your whole life, you came to this world only to make a minyan with those people that you left. That's why you were brought into this world. You had to make a tikkun from a previous life, and that's why and you didn't do it. Now I don't like that story because it leaves us with a negative taste in our mouth. So the Baal Shem Tov never wanted us to have any negative thoughts. So the idea is that we should ask Hashem. I don't want to miss any opportunities to do what I'm supposed to be doing in this world. And Hashem, whatever you give me to do is what you want me to do. So right now, Hashem wants us to get ready for Shabbos, and then to start getting ready for Pesach, and to start, again, I'm going to say it again because I think it's so important. Stop trying to copy the mindset and the hashkafa of the goyim, even if it means stop watching TV. Do people even watch TV anymore? I don't know. We don't have TVs here, but movies and. What are these things? We think that they're simple entertainment. And on a certain level, it is entertainment. And everybody needs to relax every once in a while. But we have to remember that a movie, Rabbi Yisrael Ginsburg, who's the foremost Kabbalist in this generation, has said that a movie is the strongest form of education. When you watch a movie, you're internalizing a certain story, that they're telling the story. And he said, because the movie has a script and it has characters, it has scenery, it has music, it has all these things that movie makers know how to put together all the to access so many of our senses. And of course, if you eat while the movie is, so you're eating also. But we have to remember, why do I want to internalize the hashkafa of the non-Jewish world by watching their movies? It's a hard question that we have to ask ourselves. And certainly we have to start filtering what we watch, what we look at. Some people are so careful with what they look at that they won't look at, even people that they feel are not appropriate for them to look at, they won't look at them. Every day we say in Shema, your heart goes after your eyes. So the Goyim have been trying to assimilate us for thousands of years. It's not just the Goyim. Hashem is testing us. It's Hashem. Hashem is giving us test after test. And the question is, this war, I think, has brought out our Jewish pride like never before. Because in World War II, when we were being slaughtered, we didn't have Jewish pride because everybody was like, we didn't have the land of Israel. We didn't have independence. We didn't have an army. We didn't have we didn't have press. We were scattered still. So it didn't wake up Jewish pride, World War II. It woke up maybe sympathy for each other. But now I'm so proud to be a Jew and not to be an animal like all of these Palestinians. Sorry to speak so harshly, but that's what happens here. When animals, even lower than animals don't do what Hamas do. And the people that are pro-Hamas are on the same level. They might not have done those acts, but they're certainly proud of them. They're making excuses for them. These are not people. These are all Tera Adam. Tera Adam, as you know, he's an animal disguised as a human being. And so pride in being a Jew and not trying to copy the Goyim. Now, it does not mean you have to wear an Israeli flag as a cape. It doesn't mean you have to wear a Jewish star. It doesn't mean flaunting. It means living as a Jew is supposed to live. Brachas, Shabbos, kosher, davening, tefillin for the men, sitters for the men, tznius for the women. Learning Torah every single day. You have the internet. Why do you think God made the internet? Why do you think God made YouTube and all the other those kind of platforms? Hashem wants you to learn Torah. Hashem wants you to have either kosher music in the background while you're cooking and cleaning, or a shir. Hashem wants that. So let's be proud of being Jews, ladies. Come on, upgrade. We have to do it, and we have to share this with our chevra. And even here in Eretz Yisrael, how do you upgrade being a Jew here? You're living in Israel, you're eating kosher, you're doing everything right? How do you do that? By loving each other. Just by loving each other, that's how you upgrade. I told you in the very, very beginning of the war, I had to go in town. And sometimes I get very sentimental. Sometimes I can, but sometimes I get very sentimental. Anyway, I was walking down the street, and it was the very big beginning when all the soldiers were in Gaza. They were not roaming the streets. And there was one kid, a soldier, a baby, and he was walking towards me. I was on Yafo Street. He was walking towards me in his uniform. And it was an unusual sight. Again, I'm telling you, it wasn't in those days. In the very, very beginning, there were no soldiers on the streets. They were all where they were supposed to be. What we had on the streets were policemen and National Guard, but we didn't have soldiers in green uniforms. And this boy comes close towards me, so I just went like that, like it's a safer Torah. I didn't do it I don't even know if he paid attention, but I just wanted to kiss him and send him a bracha of protection. And a lady, a real super duper Haredi looking lady, came towards me. And she gave a nod. It was not the kind of lady who looked like a Zionist. It was just, like one of those. Not that I'm a Zionist, I'm Zion, Hashem, but not political Zionist at all. But this lady was even more right-wing than me, looked like. And she saw what I did, and she acknowledged. She said, "Yes, that's how we feel now." All right, sweetie pies. So we'll meet next week, Bezrat Hashem. And then we'll play it by ear. Right? Next Thursday we'll have a shir Bezrat Hashem. And then we'll see, how much more I can, I every year I try to say this, because every year I try to say I'll somehow put up a share anyway, even if I don't do it on Zoom, I'll make it on my own. But that didn't happen to me yet. But that's what next week we'll have a share. And I also want to remind you that it's in our Haggadah, the song that we sing, Vihisha Amdalam Vaseinu, Shalom Echad Milvan Amar Leinu. It's not just one enemy that we've had that tries to destroy us. Ella, Shebachol Dor Vador, every generation, Omdim Aleinu L'Chalaseinu, they try to destroy us. But Kadosh Baruch Hu, Matileinu Miyadam, Hashem saves us. And we say that by the Vihisha Amda, we say that with lifting up our coast, lifting up a cup of wine. You have to remember this Seder, but that's when we lift up the cup of wine. We're toasting Hashem. We're toasting Hashem, not like we're toasting God, not people. We don't toast people. We toast God. We make a l'chaim to Hashem. We don't worship people. We honor and respect people, but we don't worship them. We worship God. We serve God. We're not here to try to please everyone. We're here to try to please Hashem. Anyway, that's in the Haggadah. So I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. Besides the fact that I just gave you homework to decide, now you could listen to the shir again and see the 7 different midos and see what you think your superpower is. And we could talk about that a lot more in detail. But I'm also going to give you some other homework. And our rabbis gave us this homework, but I'm going to give it to you earlier. So they should, we need it more in this. Get your Haggadah out. Go to the section where you keep your Haggadahs. Take it out. And here in Yerushalayim Kodesh in Eretz Yisrael, we're changing the clocks tonight. So we have a long Shabbos. This is our first long Shabbos. And even though it's the same 25 hours, I don't know why we keep trying to trick ourselves to think that we have a longer Shabbos. It's the same Shabbos, just that we have a longer day and a shorter night. But the bottom line is we have time during the day. Take out your Haggadah and start reading it. And if you have the Haggadahs with commentaries, the art scroll, or the different Haggadahs, everybody has different Haggadahs. Not the Maxwell House Haggadah for those Americans who even know what I'm talking about. But the Haggadah with commentaries. Take out the Haggadah on Shabbos, Friday night Shabbos. Read a little bit. Get yourself excited. Get excited for the Seder. And remember, all the cleaning is done with a smile. Whatever you're doing is with a smile. And ask Hashem to help you. Before you begin anything every morning, say, Hashem, please give me koyach. Give me the strength and the wisdom and the patience and the organizational skills to do everything I have to do today. Make a list of what your tasks are and make a list of what you want to burn in the chametz. All the negativity in your life. Get rid of it. We could. It's literally a mindset. If you believe it, it helps. It happens. If you don't believe it, that's why the Yenuka said, the world is quiet. I'm sitting where I just have to sit and learn Torah. Hashem doesn't make rush. Hashem doesn't make bad things. Everything is good. Relax. He lives like that. He lives like that. And his students live like that. And it could be the biggest balagan going around, and they're able to maintain their equanimity. And I admire that so, so much. They're able to maintain their calm, their inner quiet, because they're practicing, they work on it. So we should all work on that also. And you know how fast Pesach goes? Every year we say this is like the third day Chol Hamoed, Pesach. We say like, I can't believe it. So we work so hard and Pesach is flying by. So too the exile should fly by and we should have our Geula already, our redemption already. I'm welcoming you here. Everybody come to Eretz Yisrael Pesach. We'll see each other. Bezrat Hashem. Come. If you're here, come visit. Let me know. And while you're here, buy an apartment or two.
The houses in Yad Binyamin are amazing. They're really great. And you've got to live in Yad Binyamin, and they're very expensive.
Right, that's right. And I want to tell you something. In Yad Binyamin, they made 2 giant housing projects. They just saw. You saw for over 55.
They told the over 65s. I met somebody who comes as a mitna devet.
Over 55.
Over 55, sorry. Over 55.
They're lowering the age of coming there. I have a friend who her husband wanted to buy there. She was horrified.
Well, it was very sweet. There's a lady who comes to as a mitna devet to help in the house just for a couple of hours twice a week. And she told me, so she said she actually moved from Hanof and she is in the over 55s. And she was, best thing that they could have thought of doing.
Oh, they moved to Yad Binyamin?
They moved to Yad Binyamin.
Wow. You could tell me afterwards who it is.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay. I have a friend in Yad Binyamin and I have students who used to live there. When Gush Katif was given away, so the whole yeshiva there moved to Yad Binyamin. And so the Rav of the yeshiva is still there. I think the yeshiva is still there. These students of mine already, moved elsewhere. But I remember being in Yad Binyamin, I forgot how many years ago, and I said, oh, it's so relaxing here.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We have many beautiful communities. And Baruch Hashem.
I think I'd last there 2 days at a time.
What?
I can manage there 2 days to 3 days at a time, and then
you need.
But it was very calm. It was very calm.
Very calm and very, very relaxing, and you need, because you're still working. You're not. However many years you are, you're not going to retire. So it's for retired people who want to, but not us. We're never going to retire. We just keep going. Like when I can go to Tzfat also for 2 days. I can only manage the Tzfat for 2 days, and then I have to get back into.
Okay.
All right, let me say hi to everybody. 1 second. Hi, Haley, and hi, Shirley, and hi, Yehudit Batya, and hi, Pauline, and hi, Jenny, and hi, Sarla, and Liz. Hi, Liz. And hi, Rebecca. Don't go off. Hi, Nomi. Was that your son nice on the background walking around? Yeah? Oh, it was good to see him. Good. And hi, Rebecca. And hi, Aviva. And hi, Yudit Sugarman. And 1 second, you see people go off. When I say hi, they're shy. Okay. They're also sneezed. So I'd like to say hi to everybody. 1 second. Who didn't I say hi to? Rebetzin's up, right? Of course, you. Hi, Katie, and hi, Sharon. I think everybody, all the people popped off already on the thing. And thank you, Seed. Thank you for Seed, and to Anita, who's working so hard for us, and to Dahlia, who works so hard for us, and to whoever volunteers in your house to clean for you. Bezrat Hashem. Send her over here also. Just kidding.
Thank you, everybody. Really, thank you. You'll all be blessed with a good Shabbos and Be'ezras Hashem next week.
Amen. So let everybody know that.
Good Shabbos.
Now that it's such a big thing on YouTube, people are being lazy, but let everybody know it's good to come on the Shir Live also.
Yeah.
Okay, good Shabbos.
Okay, good Shabbos, everybody. Good Shabbos.